Another week is coming on in the NFL season, folks. Danny is with me. Why? Because last week was Seattle Seahawks week. This week on Thursday night, Patriots, Jets. But anyway, Danny, how have the first weeks of the season treated you so far?
You know what? I'm satisfied. I'm fine. Just to see Aaron Rodgers take snaps, play full games for my football team. Obviously there was always going to be rust, and the team getting in sync with no preseason snaps. But I'm happy. There's things to clean up for sure, but I'm not going to kill the team like a lot of the fan base is doing right now. I have patience.
That's the best thing to have, just for because the Jets, like, I don't want to label them like, obviously, look, there's a distance difference between like a winning window and a Super Bowl window. I think the main goal for them is just get to the playoffs, find out, and see what happens. And games like what we saw so far with San Francisco, it's kind of that, like, not a measuring stick to me, but it was more like a general, like, hey, what do we do right? What do we do wrong? How do we clean up so that when we play another contender level team, because the next 2 to 3 games for the Jets, I don't want to call them guaranteed wins, but they're games that the Jets should win in all actuality, at least the two before you go to London. Those are the games where you don't want to slip and make mistakes like you did against San Francisco. And then Tennessee is, look, you managed to find a way, you managed to out mistake the Titans, and you kind of, like, even though the Titans had their moments, you kind of still showed that in the end of it all, the Jets still were able to be one of the better teams on Sunday.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Titans game, the only reason we won is just because we had the better quarterback. That made audibles and got checked into the right plays, and exposed the defense. But listen, the Titans are a gritty team, man. They're not. They're. I don't think Will Levis will ever be anything, but if they got like a legitimate quarterback, I think they're right back in the playoffs and like the old Titans they were. I was really impressed with the Titans on Sunday.
So my thinking with them is that Brian Callahan's probably going to be able to get his own quarterback in the first round next year, because they have drafted a couple offensive linemen in the last couple of drafts. So I think next year he'll be able to get his guy, and then, you know what, Will Levis is just that journeyman career backup that we've all come to discover. Um, and then I'll say, like, my piece quickly. Look, week one was fantastic. I loved it. And then week two, I think, is more of the what we're going to see more out of New England, just where the simple mistakes where you shoot yourself in the foot, or you can't complete passes. But Sunday was what it was. They held their own, but I still feel like that for beating the Seahawks in that Super Bowl, that the Seattle Seahawks are going to beat us for the rest of the time, because that's 3 in a row they've had over us now.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Seahawks tape yet on last Sunday, but I really wanted to get into that last night just to see what to look for our game. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys have been impressive, honestly. Like I didn't think, to beat the Bengals is maybe they weren't in sync, whatever it was. Still, a win is a win. I was impressed. I was even talking to you live during the game. Like, yeah, the Bengals are gonna come back, but to get that win is very cool. And then to go to overtime with the Seahawks, who are also a playoff caliber team, so impressive stuff to start from you guys so far.
It has been. It does suck. Look, they've lost 2 players. Jalen Rager said something stupid on social media today. It's that whole meme of, like, the trailer park with, like, the Corvette outside it. And so he got cut because he clearly showed he was pissed off with his role. And obviously Jawan Bentley done for the year with the torn pec, which is weird because, like I said to you, but Jeremy Fowler earlier in the day was like, shoulder injury, we'll see what happens. And then out of nowhere, it was, hey, his pec's torn, he's done for the year. So unless my dude comes back like John Cena in 2008, he's gonzo for the year. And then with Jermaine Johnson, is it confirmed that he's done for the season,
Yeah,
or
he tore his Achilles, man. I mean, it's like the Jets can't win without having a fucking season-ending injury.
yeah, at least it didn't happen in Denver this time?
But no, this is that's a big loss for the Jets, honestly. Especially with Reddick, still holding out. I don't know. Honestly, don't know what his plan is, because at some point he has to report just to not go through the same situation next year. I believe it's 8 weeks. You have to play 8 weeks to get a vested season. So, but honestly, at this point, they'll probably get through the next 2 games with a win without him, and then we really got to start. Let's get him going. Let's get him back in the fold, because the schedule definitely gets tougher after that.
Yeah, because my 2 cents on the whole situation is even if he signs a contract tomorrow, there's no way he plays Thursday night unless it's
Oh,
just,
no
hey,
way.
they need people. But he definitely, I could see him playing, like, say if he were to sign this week, definitely play that Bronco game. Like, because you get the 10 days,
Yeah,
you
you
have
get the
that
10 days.
stretch. Because I can't see it being in London just the same way I view Drake May, where I'm like, I don't want to see May's first start be in a neutral site. I'd rather see it be on American soil. So that's just me with there. But before we go into before just something I wanted to bring up quickly. So obviously, look, your team has had quarterback woes just with like not knowing how to properly. And this is not a shot. It's what's happened. The fact that the Jets have struck out on a few quarterbacks in recent memory. The Patriots obviously struck out on Mac Jones, but the Carolina Panthers have done something we've never seen before, and that's simply just toss Bryce Young to the curb after what 19 games, just to be like, I know, look, they're terrible and they haven't done anything, but this is just a textbook example of what you do not helping develop a first overall pick. It's not like
You-
Chicago where it's like, hey, you have all the positions in place. This is a situation where you give him nothing, and then you basically, when he fails, it's like, oh, hey, it's on you. It's not on us.
So I was watching the tape a little bit on that game just to see like what was happening, and a lot of it is on Bryce Young. Like he does have the protection at certain points with guys open, and he's just like bailing pockets and just making bad throws or whatever. So I mean, it really could be a Bryce Young thing. The bust rate in the past, couple years on quarterbacks has been astronomical. Honestly, if you go back and look at them, so I mean, they are the Panthers. Like they haven't had the track record recently, so ever since Cam left them. Um, but yeah, that situation's over. That's probably going to go down as the worst trade in NFL history.
Yep.
And the sooner they move him and get whatever they can for him, the better. Because I just benching him like that, there's no coming back from that usually.
No, it almost signals the beginning of the end in a way where it's just like, hey, like you can't just put him back in because if Dalton goes out there and lays a stinker on Sunday, it's kind of this whole like, what do you do now? They backed themselves into a corner, and this move definitely, I think it goes beyond coaching. I think, look, this has David Tepper written all over it, where it's just, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. It's just he's
See,
been nothing but bad for that franchise.
so the thing for me is it really doesn't make sense not to just give him the year. You're not a contender anyways, unless like it's something in the locker room where the players are just like completely bought out and they just know they need a change and whatever. I get that, but you gotta. He's probably doesn't become anything if he is given the rest of the year, and they probably know that. But to give up everything you gave up for him and to just pull the plug on him this early is that's really, I don't know how wise it is, but yeah, they're the Panthers, so this is what they do.
It's what they do. You trade away assets at the deadline if you can, if you even have any, and then you lost Eric Brown for the year. So that's pretty much the gist of it.
And then you watch TJ Stroud go the very next pick.
Here's my thing with that, though. Here's my thing with that, because I was listening to some just football today, and the point I kept hearing was, I don't think there's a guarantee that if CJ Stroud's in Carolina, we're seeing the same CJ Stroud that we're seeing in Houston.
I
You
agree,
know,
no, for sure. We definitely don't, but you'd probably see the signs of something to work with, and you're not in this situation right now.
I think it's like early day Josh Allen, where it's like, hey, he's gonna be good. You just got to give him time.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But by that
And
though, I
and nobody thought of Houston the way they think of Houston now.
no.
At the start of last year, so you never really know.
I'm just saying that in the aspects of like with what Houston has, but also to what Houston does off the field, where you have a coach in D'Amico Ryans that's good. You have, look, there was ownership issues with Cal McNair with the whole Deshaun Watson stuff, but that's all gone past them now, to where Cal McNair just like lets Nick Caserio, expatriate, do his thing and like just bring in the guys he wants to bring in, having the Will Anderson deal. And when I say the thing about Stroud, I'm not trying to dog on Stroud or anything like that. I'm just trying to say I just don't think CJ Stroud is that MVP with Carolina. But like I say, they're not a 2-15 team. They're not out there getting dogged by New Orleans. They're not getting dogged by the Chargers week 2. I still think they're not the best, but they're definitely showing signs of progress to where it's like, hey, for 2025, it's not we're starting over. It's, hey, we're going to shoot for the playoffs to contend with an NFC South that has been really good through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Now, another thing to think of is they're probably going to end up with the first overall pick,
Yeah.
and if Sanders is the number one quarterback on the board, there's no way Dion lets him go there at all.
Take your NIL money, go back to college, and re-enter in 2026.
I just no. I think he wants to get in the league, and I just think they're going to cause that that Eli move where like I'm not playing here no matter what.
There was a joke online where everyone's saying, "Oh, Arch Manning to Carolina," and everyone's saying they wouldn't let Eli go to San Diego. What the hell makes you think they're going to allow Arch to
For
go to
real.
Charlotte?
Yep.
I think it's Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers. I think that's the more logical options. I think it's Shador. They say the thing about controlling, but I honestly think they're going to do that power play, which will piss a lot of people off. But who knows? Shador ends up in with double blue in New York as well. We'll have to wait and see there.
That would be dope, though. I would like to see him and Malik. I think that would be a nice combo. But the Giants. I don't know. We'll see. I'll hold my comment.
Yeah, we'll hold our comment till we get to that game. But anyway, we're gonna start with the games. Look, right away, Thursday night. That's why we're here on a Tuesday night, folks, because obviously tomorrow night there's some stuff where I can't record. Then Thursday night it's game night. Danny's gonna be in one at MetLife Stadium. I'll be on my couch watching the game from home. But Jets, Patriots. Also, shout out to Patriots coverage A to Z. Sophie will be at the game, so follow her for that. But anyway, guys, Thursday night primetime football. Jets, Patriots. With the Jets looking for their first regulation win against the Patriots at MetLife since 2010. I know it's a different era now. It's something I noticed where I just wanted to go digging for it to see when was the last time. Because obviously I remember that 2015, I think it was week 16 overtime. I think it was
walk-off, yeah.
Eric Decker touchdown catch, if I'm not mistaken.
Back of the end zone fade, yep.
Yeah, back of the end zone fade. I remember that game very well. It was a couple days after Christmas and all that stuff. But 2010 is the last time they won in regulation. But with this game here, from both sides, from the Jets, I want to see how they do because, you're playing an opponent that's clearly the inferior opponent for the first time in a long time with Jets Patriots. And with the Patriots is how do you rebound on a short, and with the Jets too, it's also a matter of, are you going to let the travel fatigue catch up to you with having playing your third game since September 9th? And with the Patriots this is their first true good test of the year. And I know Cincinnati's supposed to be a good team as well, but the Jets are a team that have won a game. And I know Seattle's won games, but that's a different conference. This is the first Patriots true test in conference where, look, there's no offseason drama. All the players are there. And so far, the offense has looked really good to where I feel like Nathaniel Hackett each week is like, hey, Garrett Wilson's really good. Hey, Breece Hall's really good. It's week 3. It's, hey, who's going to be really good?
Yeah, so, I mean, if it's anything like last year's home opener, the energy, like I said, I've been going to Jets games for over 10 years. I've been to pretty much, I think I only missed one home opener in the past 10 years. And last year's home opener, the energy in that building, it was like nothing I've ever seen before. So if that's anywhere close to what it was last year, I think the home field advantage just right off the bat is going to be, absolutely insane. As far as like, schematics and, personnel goes, I mean, obviously they have the better roster than the Patriots. It's just about, like I said, they've been out of sync a little bit. They didn't have any preseason snaps. They're pretty much a brand new team. This is a good test to, really just sync up and, at the very least, I think they should cover the spread, man. But it's New England. They always give us a hard time, as you said. You got to remind me of that brutal stat that we haven't won in regulation since 2010 or whatever it is. But yeah, man. No, as far as the guys go, I'm really looking forward to that Gonzo and Garrett Wilson matchup. Garrett really hasn't had a breakout game thus far. I think he's been held under 70 both games. So, I'm really looking forward to getting him involved. They've been ramping up Mike Williams more and more. I think he got like 60% of the snaps last week. So look for him to, I think that's the X factor this week is Mike Williams, coming into town and ramping up. As far as Breece Hall, he really hasn't hit the ground running either. I know he had the highlight touchdown catch last week, but as far as like being Breece Hall, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, part of that is the run blocking hasn't been great, and part of it is, like he just hasn't broken out any runs yet. So I really want to see. I know he destroyed you guys week 18 last year in the snow, but they pretty much ran every play of that game.
Well, I mean, they were mentally checked out week 18 too.
Yeah, no, of course. But yeah, Braylon Allen stepped up last week. I know I talked to him about him in the AFC East podcast that we did. He looked real freaking good, man. So if they really become that legit 1-2 punch, man, and they've been running a lot of pony formation with both of them in the backfield, which I love. That's something to look out for. Now, as far as the defense goes, your guys' key to winning this game would be just Mondre running it down our throats because we cannot stop the run. It is embarrassing, man. I'm just watching these guys go for 5 yards a clip every damn handoff. It might be a little tougher this week with your wide receiver talent that you have. Maybe they just man up and just stack the box the whole game. We'll see. But if you guys are going to be successful, I think it's going to be Mondre just going off. So that's definitely a look for the betting props.
So with everything right now, I'm just looking up. The two best touchdown scorers are Bryce Hall at -175 and Ramondre Stevenson at +110. But your boy Garrett Wilson is at +140, and all the way down at +490 is Mike Williams.
Yeah, that's my sleeper guy of the week for sure.
Love
my his over's like 21.5, I think.
I'll have to look at that. Let's just see.
That's the pick of the week right there.
One other one too, if you really want to get frisky with it, is Antonio Gibson plus 25 plus yards at +120. But my thing with the Patriots this week is I want to see a team, because you know how you're saying your run game defense has been that good. The most touchdowns besides the bomb to DK, which was honestly, if you'll watch it, you'll see it was just a lapse in coverage by Duggar and Gonzo. Basically, they one thought one was going to drop, one thought the other was going to drop. DK said, "I'll see you later," and just booked it to the end zone. But besides that, though, Zach Charbonnet had a really good game against us, and then Zach Moss as well, week one. I know Cincinnati didn't look their best, but Zach Moss, the one drive, he was just carving us up. So I think if the Jets were to win this game, just like outright conceivingly, like where that 6.5 is covered, it's going to be either just look, the corners get burned again, and the Jets basically, it's not the big plays that they have to look for. It's just that like death by 1,000 cut style plays, just constant shallow routes, just like crossers, all that stuff like there, where it's 3rd and 9, but hey, you're going to go out there and get a 15-yard gain. It's going to be, hey, get Bryce Hall, just get him out in the flat, have him cut around the line, and then go from there. Because with Juwan Bentley being out, we don't really know what it's going to look like. Kyle Duggar he wore the green dot last week, but obviously linebackers taking a massive hit. It's just a big part of how the D-line is going to play. But the one way, too, I can see this game getting out of hand is kind of like last Thursday. And before the injury to Tua, if you remember, he was just making some goofy throws, like the Christian Benford pick six, where he, like Chosen Anderson, who got cut today, basically was just like, "Oh, I'm going to run the route to here. Oh, no, I'm going to chuck it over here, right over your head." Buffalo catches it. See you later. So I think if Jacoby makes little mistakes like that, that's where this game could get really out of hand. But Jacoby's been good with ball security so far. It's just sacks have been really been the big issue with him. So if he could basically prevent turnovers from happening, I think this game could be closer to where it's like a, last second field goal, kind of like what we saw. Hell, even what we saw last night, just minus the stupidity on 3rd down from Philadelphia's part. But for the most part, though, I still say this. I'll still say the same thing I said last week, where I think the Jets will win the game because they are the better team at the end of the day. But I do think the Patriots cover the 6.5.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, they if it's anything like last week, the Patriots would win that game because Jacoby doesn't really turn the ball over at all. Levis just, was careless with the football and gave us, that extra life.
And our
So
lineman
if
sucks.
the Patriots if they get up big, or whatever by 2 scores right away, it's going to be hard to fight back. You know what I mean? So like I said, the key to you guys winning is going to be the ground game.
Absolutely.
You guys really, none of your receiver threats really scare me at all. So as long as they bottle that up, it's going to be a long night. But if you guys get the ground game going, it's going to, that's your path to winning or covering the spread.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If they can either play the ground game well or get the receivers going, because it was a Hunter Henry game on Sunday where receivers had 3 catches for 19 yards. Like, it was really bad. So I think it's also about adjusting as well. Alex Van Pelt has to learn to adjust on the fly, so we'll see if he does that as well. But in all honesty, more than anything, I'm excited to play on Thursday because I get a full red zone Sunday. And this week's slate, it's very interesting because I'm still trying to think about who to take for Survivor for this week. But we get things started on Sunday with the Broncos taking a visit to the upstart Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 2-0 Buccaneers. My big question for you for this game is, I have Denver winning, but do you think Denver just takes, just runs them off the field?
Oh no, wait, you have Denver beating the Buccaneers?
Buccaneers running Denver off. Excuse me.
Okay. I was about to say.
No. No, I don't.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
I'm fully bought in on the Buccaneers, man. Kudos to Todd Bowles. That's a little maybe coach of the year snipe right now. I don't know what his odds are currently, but if he keeps this up, you never know. Yeah, no, Bo Nix looks horrible, man, and I'm hoping he looks horrible again, just so we can get that Zach Wilson Week 4 against the Jet game, possibly. I just, they can't move the ball, man. They just can't move the ball. He is what he. I think he broke like the NFL record for the lowest yards per attempt or something like that last week or thus far. I think I saw something like that on Twitter. But yeah, man, they're just not a good team, Denver. Buccaneers, they're just stout. Baker looks fucking awesome. Their defense has always been solid. So I think, yeah, they should handle that pretty easily.
They should. And by the way, Todd Bowles plus 1,400 on FanDuel for Coach of the Year right
Oh,
now.
so I wonder what it opened up at, before the year. But that's definitely possible.
It is. My big thing with this game too is just I don't want it because like you know how Tampa's coming off this big win last week where they outplayed. I just think that if they're a team that takes their foot off the gas, this is a game they could lose. But I can see this being like week one where look, Baker, Mike Evans, who still one of the most underrated players in the NFL. I know it's crazy to think about, but the guys constantly put up 1,000-yard seasons. This is just a team that like they want to go out there and play for each other. This is a team where you're coached well, they're disciplined well, you have all the right pieces in place to just, go out there and make magic happen, for lack of a better word. They're just basically they're another team too where they're like, hey, put anyone in front of us. We don't care who you are. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna beat you.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I'm fully bought in on the Bucks. They just have the talent. Chris Godwin has looked awesome. Mike Evans is Mike Evans always. So, and then Baker's just getting it done.
That's just it. And then we move to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Vikings at 2-0 take on the 2-0 Houston Texans. How do you feel about your boy Sam right now?
Yeah, man. Good for him, man. Good for him. He's finally in the right system. He's finally got, respectable NFL talent around him. Not like the Adam Gase Jets or the Carolina Panthers. So, good for him. I'm very happy. I'm not spiteful. And that's another team I'm buying in. The Vikings, their defenses look real good too, which has impressed me more so than the offense. Um, the Texans, they if they had if Caleb Williams was somewhat, you know, if he could have hit a couple of those throws, they really could have lost that game Sunday night. So they look beatable if they don't get their shit together.
I I just want to say something about that game. I tapped out halfway through the third quarter when it was almost 11 o'clock and it was like maybe like 6 minutes left in the third. I'm like, I'm going to bed. Woke up, saw the cash 6.5, and I was happy.
Yeah, no, Caleb, I think he sucks, but I'm not gonna say that 2 games into his career. Yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go with the Vikings here. Honestly, like I said, I saw enough window. Well, first of all, I don't know if Justin Jefferson's playing. If he's that changes a lot. I know Addison's playing.
We are recording on Tuesday, folks. Just a heads up on that. So that's why for
Yeah,
the picks now to what could happen, it varies like that. My thing with Minnesota was I remember I was at so this summer both me and my sister decided, hey, we're getting married, not to each other, to different people. Don't get the wrong folks. But I remember at her wedding, I was talking football with a bunch of people, and my cousin who's a Packers fan. Basically, I told him, I said, hey, Minnesota could be a team, and he kind of laughed it off. And I was just like, they're a well coached, well disciplined team. Kevin O'Connell's not someone to look over, and so far we've seen that so far where look, they're 2-0. Look, one game they dog walked the Giants. Sure, anyone can do that. And I know San Francisco's depleted, but still, the fact that they took care of San Francisco to where it was close at times, but it really wasn't close, speaks volumes. Meanwhile, with Houston, this could be that game to where week 4 they have a I'm gonna look up and see who they're playing week 4 because I can see them losing this game, and then week 4 they have a get right game where everyone's like, "Oh, hey, the Texans are good." Because guess what? You play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are just terrible this year. So I'm gonna go Minnesota too, regardless of the Jefferson thing, just because I believe they have what it takes to get done, but they also have. So here's the thing: last week was Kyle Shanahan. This week's Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick of the Houston Texans came from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. So it's going to be very similar schematics that they probably throw at Minnesota. But Brian Flores saw the exact same offense last week, so he's going to know how to work his way around this. So I do think that Minnesota does win, but it's a close game. One bet to watch for this. I got eaten alive for it last week, but when I took Minnesota's over, but I do think the over 45.5 is something to pay attention to.
yeah. Oh no, it should definitely be fireworks in this game.
Yeah.
It's also Stephon Diggs' first time back in Minnesota, so just to point that out.
Yes, it is. Very good snipe by Mr. Daniel over there.
Yes,
Mr. Danny
sir.
goes ham. I love it. I love it.
Big revenge
Oh,
game.
yeah. Little revenge game there because week 5, I don't see that happening against Buffalo. I'm literally just waiting for the ticker to go by just because I'm trying to figure out what game to talk about next when I'm on the couch rotting watching Red Zone. Like when my boss called me yesterday and said, "How was your weekend?" And I said, "I did nothing yesterday." And she was like, "You're watching football all day, weren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am."
The best.
Um, this game right here, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I have no idea why the Chargers are +2. They're the better team. I know Pittsburgh's 2-0.
Against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh and LA. I'm sorry, but Jim Harbaugh is a breath of fresh air to that organization. And the fact that this is a game where we're going to see that, oh, hey, this is why Pittsburgh is who they are.
Yeah,
They'll beat.
shout out Jim Harbaugh, man. Shout out. He just wins. He's gonna get them turned around so fast. Even if it's not this year, it's definitely gonna be next year. They got an absolute snipe in J.K. Dobbins if that guy stays healthy. He looks awesome. Quentin Johnston looks like a legit wide receiver now out of nowhere. Joe Alt could possibly be rookie of the year. He's been absolutely a stud.
He's going to be an all-pro market.
Yeah, for sure. So they got the pieces, man. They just keep stacking a couple more wins. Could be a wild card team.
They do. I know he's the favorite to win Coach of the Year so far, but I think they would have to win the division and probably get the 1 or 2 seed for that to happen. You make the playoffs this year, or you're just on the wild card picture looking outside. That's kind of meeting expectations for the Chargers. But with the Chargers, if they dominate and they go like 14-3, then that's when Coach of the Year talk comes in for me. But with a game like this, I just see it where, look, we find out that Pittsburgh's not this 2-0 team. Look,
No.
you beat Atlanta week 1, and then you took care of Denver 13-7. I can't buy that. I can't.
Nope. And I know all the Fields fanboys, the Fields Hive. They're all excited, but he still hasn't really looked that impressive. I know you give them an inch, they take a foot, but you got to see more. You have to see more. I think they're probably going to end up sticking with him over Russ. But this is just nothing impressive. It's just regular Steelers football that we've seen for the past couple years.
Exactly. They'll lose like 3 of their next 4, and then they'll win like 4 of their next 5. It's the inevitable roller coaster that is Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, last night, Monday night, Philadelphia, they truly, for lack of a better word, pissed down their leg with 2 minutes to go in that football game. They're going to New Orleans to take on a team that, look, who my father likes. My father. I don't know if you know him. Yeah. I asked him, what's been the biggest difference? And I'm going to quote his words. He's probably going to love he's going to love hearing this, but basically the one thing he loves the fact is that he uses his weapons and that he's aggressive on second down. Now I know obviously look, there's 2 leagues that I pay attention to. CFL's a 3-down league, NFL's a 4-down league, but you have to be aggressive on second down in the NFL because if you're not, third down means it's all or nothing. The fact, too, with the New Orleans Saints right now, it's not only that Derek Carr looks good, it's the fact that Chris Olave is a true number 1. It's the fact that Rashid Shaheed is just rocket launchers up his butt. And the fact that Alvin Kamara is out. I feel like Alvin Kamara has been a forgotten about running back.
Yeah.
It's not forgotten about in the sense of where like people just forgot about him, but forgotten about of, oh, hey, this guy's elite. There's a reason why he's a top running back in the NFL. But you have 2 sides of the coin of this game where I feel like there's a lot of people expecting a Saints letdown and a Philadelphia bounce back, but I just can't get over the way that Philly lost. Where week 1, look, I know they beat Green Bay and Brazil. I know that was a tongue twister. And then last night they lose to Atlanta the way they did. I just don't know what to think. And also, too, I don't know what it was, but I swear to God, I feel like ESPN wanted the Eagles to win.
Oh, my God. I saw, it was like the Jason Kelsey shit was ridiculous, man. Like, it's Jason Kelsey. Like, it's not Peyton Manning or Tom. What is this guy doing in the booth for so long? Just because his brother's Travis Kelsey, this guy, I can't stand the Kelseys anymore. But, to get back to the game, the Saints, like, I was watching tape today. Derek Carr just looks awesome. Like, he's taking the deep shots. He's accurate.
Hitting the Michael Jackson.
Huh?
Hitting the Michael Jackson in the end zone.
Michael Jackson, yeah, man. Like, and he's just looked great. And the thing is, Olavi really still hasn't had a big game yet. You know what I mean? It's been Shaheed and Kamara. Well, Kamara's obviously the number one fantasy run or the number
44
one
points,
overall
baby.
fantasy player right now. You know, I have him on one league, so I'm very appreciative of him. But yeah, no, the Saints are really rolling right now. As far as the Eagles go, they look like the second half Eagles of last year, and I don't know if it was more so Sirianni just not being capable to be a head coach, or if it's just Jalen Hurts. I know he had really good rushing. AJ Brown wasn't there, and Saquon looked good, but they're beatable. They're definitely beatable, and they're definitely regretting paying that guy Bryce Huff, which I am laughing at right now. And they definitely wish they just paid Hassan Reddick.
Dude, Darius Slay got cooked on that touchdown by Drake London.
Yeah, no, Darius Slay looked cooked last year. So, I mean, I think people are just hanging on to the name value there.
I think as well with Philadelphia, and here's the other thing too with that as well, is more than anyone with Philly, like Jason Kelsey is what it is with me. It's the fact that they're making Dom this like household name all because of a fight that he basically had no business getting involved in, where it's like, hey, yeah, he's team security. He happens just to be this big Italian guy. Like, okay, cool. But Kyle Brandt made an excellent point on Good Morning Football where he said the E and ESPN stood for Eagles last night, where it was,
Yes, that's what I saw. Yep.
yeah, that's what I'm just like, I want to see partisan, like, you want to see partisan broadcasts. You don't want to see what the hell Tommy Romo did on Sunday where Patrick Mahomes will throw the ball in the dirt and go, that's a winning throw, where it's like, no, you're allowed to say when good players play bad. And I feel like with last night too, even like Scott Van Pelt, the 2-minute warning going, oh, when the Eagles win the game, it's like, Scott, there's 2 minutes left. Anything can happen. This is football. This is why we love this sport. My big thing with the Eagles is just, I feel like they're always going to do this where they're going to have those games where they're like Pittsburgh in a way where they'll have a better record than Pittsburgh, but they're going to lose the games that they're supposed to win, and they're going to win the games they're supposed to lose. You know, where, oh, you think they're going to play bad? They'll lose. My thing with this game though is, and also too with last night as well, the whole Nick Foles stuff. Where look, I know he beat the Patriots, but like, okay, cool, yeah, he had. If not for the Philly special, I don't know if they win that game, but that's Super Bowl I could get pissed off about all day long. I'm gonna go Saints here just because look, I trust them. I trust and also here's the other thing with the Saints too, though. They could lose Clint Kubiak next offseason.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. That's he's on my if Salah doesn't get if he doesn't get extended, which I think he needs to win a couple playoff games for that to happen. If you just make the playoffs, that's not enough. He's definitely on my short list.
I think with you guys, I think if you guys were to win a wild card game and get to the divisional, I think he's good. I think it's just more or the less, if anything, it's ownership at that point. It's what does Woody and Christopher want to do? That's what I honestly think what happened with both of them. But I know you and I spoke about this. So Joe Douglas is just a hey, thanks for coming out. We'll see you later. He'll have the Jamal Adams at the door. But yeah, this game right here, Saints. I'm not overthinking it. Just you got to.
This one's tough for me, man, because I can see a Philly bounce back. Because have this thing, like I'm pretty sure I saw a stat today that Derek Carr every drive he's led has ended in points, which is obviously unsustainable. I want to see them get into a game where it's low scoring to see if they can really thug it out and win. I think I'm gonna go Eagles here. I think they do bounce back, but like I said, it would not surprise me to see the Saints win.
Also too, fun fact that the Eagles haven't won in New Orleans since 2007.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
So I mean, then sometimes that really ends up sticking. So, but I'm gonna still pick the Eagles. I think Saquon's just looked like a different back. If AJ Brown is in, that will help them a lot.
I think I saw something last night where, according to Diner Rossini, I think he's out for at least a couple more weeks. Don't quote me on that. I don't think he's coming back this week.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if I know wasn't Lattimore out for the Saints on Sunday. I mean, not that it mattered, but
no, but I think he was. I think he was a late scratch.
Okay, so
like
that's a big thing too.
Like gave it a go during warmups, but then ultimately didn't play the game.
So he'll probably be out there, but we'll see. I mean, if the Eagles don't win this game, the way that Philly media is, then I mean they were horrible yesterday. So
my hot take was going into the years that if they get off to like a 1-4 start or something really bad, I could see them pulling the carpet out for Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, no, as they should. He's not a good coach.
So their schedule coming up is not easy either. They play, obviously, they had the Falcons last night. They have the Saints on Sunday. Then they go to Tampa. They have their bye week. And then they have the Browns at the Giants, which, look, that should be a Saquon revenge game, but we'll see. And then they have at the Bengals on a 425 spot. So they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. Yeah, they have the bye week in between their twos. But if they lose bad to the Saints and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they kind of have to get this game.
Yeah, and then like even looking down the road too, like they still have to play the Cowboys twice. They still have to play the Ravens, and then they finish with the Giants. Also, too, one thing I was gonna say about the last game too. One of my locks of the week is the Chargers against the spread. Tennessee and Green Bay. So I know I was saying I said to you in the DMs Malik Willis revenge game, but I feel like Tennessee minus. So here's my thing with betting for this week. Last week, I believe 12-4 was the record for underdogs, if believe it or not.
Yep. 5 outright or 6, something like that.
Yeah, I think 10-6 or 12-4, somewhere in there. I think against the spread, against the spread record was 12-4 for underdogs. I feel like with this week where Tennessee lost, but they are -3, I think there's a lot of bettors this week that are going to look at these underdog lines and go, we can sniff them out again. The more I think about this game, the more I think that Tennessee -3 is the bet to make because look, for as much as Malik would have loved to go back to Nashville and get the win, I just think that this is a line like Vegas kind of suckers you in, kind of like how they did with Dallas at plus -6.5 and with Cleveland at +3 last week.
Yeah, first of all, I love the under. Whatever the under is, give me that
36.5.
Yeah, I don't even care. Give me that under. I said very nice words about Tennessee. They impressed me. I think that defense is super stout. I don't think Malik Willis is going to be able to do anything against them. There's no way Josh Jacobs has that performance like he did against the Colts.
Yep.
So, as long as Will Levis can, not make the Zach Wilson-esque turnover and, kill his team and shoot himself in the foot, I definitely think they should win this game for sure. I love that -3.
Yeah, and like my thing too at the -3 as well is just a simple, don't overthink it. Don't let the books beat you because this is a bet where the book's trying to get you to go the other way, where it's like, oh, we're going to take this here. And guess what, too, folks? Not every team goes 0-17.
You could make a case that Tennessee should have won that game. You know what I mean? So they should not struggle to beat Malik Willis. They just lost the game because they didn't have the better quarterback. I think Will Levis is the better quarterback than Malik Willis.
There's a reason why he was traded. Cleveland versus the New York Giants. Look, it's if you're in New York and you wear blue, it's very bleak right now. Week 1 was just pathetic, and then week 2, the fact that you lose to a team that had to kick 7 field goals and you guys got touchdowns, that's a red flag. The Graham Gano situation, that's a massive red flag. Massive. The fact that you have a quarterback this year that I frankly don't think that they want, but I think John Mara is just too strung up about getting rid of, that's a red flag. This is an organization, too, where it's like, now we think about it, where like at the time, Brian Burns was a sick addition. Brian Burns has turned into, you should have used that money to go get a tackle or a guard.
Yeah, I don't think he has a sack yet. And Kayvon's been invisible, too.
Evan Neal's a second stringer, too.
So, let me say something nice about the Giants first, or 2 nice things. They finally have it. So thus far, they haven't really faced 2 elite pass rushes, but their O-line has looked good, and Malik Neighbors is an absolute stud. So there's the 2 excuses that Giants fans made for Daniel Jones that he didn't have, that he now has. I mean, I'm not blaming him for the Washington loss, but at the same time, you get one of those, what do they have, 4 2-point conversion attempts, and they didn't get one of them. You get one of those, your quarterback makes a play, you win that game probably, without the kicker. It was still, incompetent that your head coach didn't have a backup kicker up like last year. The same shit happened, and they lost because of it. But yeah, man. I listen to New York radio obviously in the mornings and stuff while I'm working, and the way they cope for the Giants and just make excuses and think that they could still climb out of this hole. I'm like, what are you seeing? Like, this team is not it at all. There's pieces, but there's way more questions than there is answers. I think this is just a year where you just get through it and you hope for the best pick and you land your quarterback because there's no point of getting these meaningless wins. You're not going anywhere, and clearly your number one hole is a quarterback. The question
So
that they have to decide for themselves is: do they keep Dable and Joe Shane?
if they lose under 6 games, I think you clean house. I think if they go 5-12, 4-13, you're cleaning house. If they go 6-11, 7-10, 8-9, you keep them. My big thing too is look, and next Thursday, folks, Danny Dimes in primetime makes its triumphant return with Big Rat and I getting you ready for week 4. And also week 6, they're supposed to play primetime against the Bengals. I'm sorry, if they lose their next 2 games, you have to pull them. You're not going to risk having a 1-4 or 0-5 team playing on Sunday Night Football. I get it's a 100th season. I get it's a historic franchise. You can't have a winless team playing in prime time. Plus, two, the Texans are going to play a team wearing their throwbacks that day that you could easily flex into there. So that's just 2 cents I wanted to say. Like, look, I don't think that's on me dogging on the Giants. That's just me stating facts. It could be the Commanders. It could be the Patriots. It could be the Buccaneers. It could be the Vikings. You have not won a game. You don't deserve Carrie Underwood. For a game like this, we're going to see what that offensive line's made of because guess who's
Yep.
on the other side of the ball? Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. We're going to see what Malik Neighbors is made of when he's matched up with Denzel Ward, one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yep.
This is a game right here where, look, I think this game is going to go one of 2 ways. I think it's going to be like ours, where it could be a very close game like the Giants just had last Sunday, or this game could have a couple ugly turnovers and it can get ugly very quickly, like we saw with the Giants in week 1. So where if Danny goes out there and, throws a couple dimes, they could keep themselves in it. For now, though, I'm going to go with Cleveland because I think the Cleveland we saw last week is going to be the Cleveland we see more often than what happened week 1. They look back to themselves. They made the plays when they had to make plays. And at the end of the day, I think Cleveland's the better pick.
Yeah, so like you just said, they haven't seen a defense like this yet. But the thing is, the defense has been the Giants' Achilles heel, and their defense hasn't looked good at all. So if they allow Deshaun Watson to look like anything to resemble the old Deshaun Watson,
Red flag.
that is a huge red flag, man. I know a lot of people are thinking that the Giants could potentially win this game. I really just don't see a path for that. I just talent
I can see them
alone, they
covering the
just blow them.
6.
They blow them out of the water.
I can see them covering the 6, though.
I could. I mean, I don't know if they could score enough. That's the thing. I'm gonna for now. I'll rock with Cleveland -6. I just don't think they can put enough points on the board unless Malik Neighbors just goes absolutely off, which I don't know if he will on Denzel Ward. And also the pass rush of the Browns is not the Vikings and the Redskins or the Commanders. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
So
know. I wasn't trying to dog the Vikings defense, but going into the year, no one knew what to think of the Vikings defense. Paul Allen, I've listened to some stuff with him, the Vikings play-by-play guy on radio. He was a little more optimistic than most, but for me, it's just a simple matter of the fact of this is a Giants offensive line that can get exposed very easily, and if you let Myles Garrett feast, you're going to get cooked offensively, and you don't want that. And also to the fact that this is a game where look, they're not at MetLife, they're also not at a divisional team. You're in Cleveland, Ohio. But that's the thing too. Everything can get magnified there. This game coming up features 2 teams where one I'm honestly disappointed in. I think Anthony Richardson's a quarterback that if he plays the way if he can play good, he'll keep cohesion and keep people around. He plays stupid, he's going to get someone fired.
yeah, I'm not an Anthony Richardson guy at all. I don't think he's very good. I know his rushing ability is, he's a tank out there, but I don't know if he has what it takes to be a high level like IQ quarterback. We'll see. It's still early. He's only had 7 career starts.
Yeah.
But that loss last week to Malik Willis and where they really didn't do anything on offense, that was kind of concerning for me.
It was also concerning to me just because look, Houston, I understand them losing. I took a risk there on survival, big rat. But only getting 10 points against a Packer team that's without Malik Willis and has their center puking on footballs, red flag. My big thing with the Colts right now is just what are you? What are you? I think that they've kind of if they lose this game, that's a nail in the coffin. And I think they lose this game. I have a hot take with this game. I think this is the Caleb game where everyone kind of sees, hey, look at Caleb. Caleb can play. I think this is like, and I'm not trying to say like I'm in on Caleb, but I think that this is kind of one of those games. Like, do you remember the Josh Allen game against Minnesota in 2018, where everyone was just like,
I don't
it
think
was the
so.
game. It basically the Vikings weren't favor. The Vikings were supposed to kill the Bills. It wasn't supposed to be a close game, and then Josh Allen balled and like hurdled a guy, and everyone was like, that was the first game where I think Bills fans and the NFL started getting inklings of, hey, that 17 in Western New York can be something. So I can see that being this game with Caleb, where it's like, okay, so that's the Caleb we've been waiting to see. That's the Caleb that we hope to see for years in the midway of Chicago. So with that, and also too, I know it's a pick 'em, but I gotta go Bears here. I think the Bears are just the better team, but the Bears could also be the Bears and lose this game. But ultimately,
So
I think Chicago wins.
I think Chicago can win because I see it being low scoring, and I
Their
love
defense is
Chicago's
better.
defense. I've shouted them out on Twitter. I love Chicago's defense, man.
Yeah,
I think they're just so tough and so gritty, and whatever. As far as their offense, I mean, their O line is just horrible. And
trash.
Caleb, like to me, I'm just not buying in on Caleb, and I don't think this game is gonna come. To at least to Sunday. Um, the key to winning is just who makes less turnovers. I feel it's going to be a field goal game. They'll probably both get to midfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For the Colts, you have Jonathan fucking Taylor, and this guy had like 10 carries last week, man. And he had like 100 yards on 10 carries or something like. I don't know if you could look that up real quick what he had,
yeah. Well,
but why are you not giving this guy 20 carries? You know what I mean? It just makes no sense. If they go to Jonathan Taylor and he gets at least 20 carries, he's gonna move the offense, and that's gonna be their recipe to winning.
12 carries, 103 yards, average of 8.6 yards
Yeah,
per
like
carry.
why do you have 12 carries there? I know they were behind, but I mean Malik, I just don't trust him as a drop back quarterback. But if they ground and pound this shit, I could see them winning that way. But we'll see. It's a
We'll
tough
see.
pick. I'll go with the Colts though. I'm gonna go with the Colts, and I'm gonna trust them that they use Taylor more.
We moved to 405, where look, I know this is a quarterback you love the dog on, but Tua was put on IR today. There, there was. I just wish the best for him. I still do think he plays one day. I don't see him retiring on this. I just think he wears a Guardian hat and makes things safer for himself. One thing I didn't like was Mike Daniel coming out saying we're not putting a timeline because timelines give anxiety. I would have just straight out said he's out indefinitely. He's out until he's cleared. He's out until
Yeah. Yep.
you know he's clear to play. He's out until he feels better. Um, but Miami as a team, concussion aside, there were so many bad moments for them last week against Buffalo.
Oh
That
yeah. He
Buffalo,
looked horrible for that.
like it's like I was saying earlier with the pick six. Like there was just some throws where I'm like, those are inexcusable. Like you cannot make those throws as an NFL quarterback, and he did them on more than one occasion.
Yeah. No. And I was honestly concerned the way they were talking about Tua that they were gonna like let him be out for like a week and then like try to bring him back in because he's like quote unquote cleared, which would have been the biggest. I'm sure the NFL had to have said something like, "This guy, you need to put him on IR." He should have been on IR already, But bravo for them for putting him on IR. I guess. What did I read that he can't play? What is it, 6 games now or something like that, or he can't come back till week 8?
Let me
Is that
look
a
that
new
up.
rule? I thought it was 4 games.
It may be. I'm gonna try to find the Ian Rapp. I'm gonna, or you know
Yeah,
what?
I think his report said week 8 he's allowed to be eligible. I know they have a bye week in between there, but did they change the rule to like? I thought it was 4 games for IR.
So two notes. One, going back to our game earlier, DeForest Buckner isn't just was put on IR today with a
Oh
high ankle
wow,
sprain.
that's a big
Um,
loss.
for the Colts. But from Jonathan Jones, national reporter, CBS, the Dolphins are taking it day by day with Tua Tagovailoa. Should Miami place him on injured reserve, he would be out for a minimum of 4 games, pending him passing concussion protocol. Skylar Thompson will start Sunday against the Seahawks. And then 6 hours ago, Dolphins are indeed placing Tua on injured reserve, sources tell NFL and CBS. The earliest he can return is October 27th versus the Cardinals, but his health will be the determining factor for a return.
Yeah, see, I think the league stepped in there. I really do because why wasn't he on IR already? Everyone saw it on national TV. The guy, He
So
should have been placed on IR right away.
so here's the thing though. So they have at Seattle this Sunday, which we'll get into in a minute. Then they play the Titans on Monday Night Football. Then they play New England. But the thing is though, their bye week is week 6. And then they play the Colts and then the Cardinals. So it is 4 games. It's just
Okay.
5 weeks with the bye.
Okay.
I don't even want to put target returns because even like there's the Cardinal game, but then guess what's after the Cardinals? The Buffalo Bills, and then the Rams, and then the Raiders, the Patriots, Packers on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, it can get ugly quick for them. It really can.
It could get ugly quick. They're a team where look, they got to rely on their defense, and they got to rely on next Monday just have Snoop Huntley throw bombs to Tyreek Hill and just basically be like, see you later. My big thing with this with Miami is just you got to hold the fort down. I know they have Kevin Harlan calling their game again, now 7-0 with Kevin Harlan on the call. But when it comes to football, look, just it's like how I say with Christian Barmore. Have the person get healthy first before you think of the football player. I know it's it's like the DeMar Hamlin thing too, like where everyone was saying, let the human be healthy before we think of him playing football. And Tua, it's the same logic.
Yeah, but besides Tua, their defense really hasn't looked impressive at all. Outside of that 180-yard catch and run from Tyreek, he hasn't really been Tyreek yet.
Javon Hall getting a bag next offseason.
Devon A-Chain's looked awesome. He's looked like a stud, but he gets banged up. He's a small guy, man. Can he really, is that really sustainable where he can just continue to take those hits? So we'll see on that. And they're gonna have to rely on him a lot now with Skylar Thompson. So I think it can get ugly here. I expect Seattle to win. You can never rule out Mike McDaniel's scheme and how he can scheme a quarterback. I know Skylar balled in that playoff game, right? Was it that game or the game before that he just balled?
No, it was the game against Buffalo in the playoffs in the wild card where they lost by 3.
Yeah. So, you can't really rule out Mike McDaniel making he made Tua look good, and I think Tua sucks. So we'll see. I have Seattle. Seattle should win. I know we're both hoping Seattle wins. So
yeah, I'll have to wait and see. I do think Seattle's going to win. I just think their defense has been very impressive. And Nicole and Alex Larson from last week that they can finally tackle. Devin Witherspoon had a couple dumb penalties against the Patriots, but I feel like they'll rebound and bounce back. And that's all I got to say with this game.
Also, but then shout out JSN, bro. Good for him to break out last week.
Yes, he had a good game against New England as well, along with Charbonnet. I'm not sure if Ken Walker's going to play Sunday or not, but the spread for this one started at 5.5. It's already dropped to 4.5. So if that tells me anything, just take the Hawks on the spread. We spoke about this game in the DMs. We spoke about this quarterback situation earlier. Call me crazy, but I think this is the game where the Carolina Panthers get a win. I have a couple reasons for this logic. The first being Raider letdown spot. Think about it. Raiders coming off a huge win against the Baltimore team they had no business beating. And here's the other one too. No one thinking that Carolina's doing this. It's in dysfunction. It's in disarray. It's that surprise again where everyone's just like, oh, this. Because you got to remember with the Raiders last week, they are a gritty team and they'll get some wins. But I think the Raider team we saw against the Chargers are going to be the Raider team we see more of this year than not.
I don't think that's a horrible pick. I mean,
I wouldn't take them in survival, but
they're gonna look competent. I mean, they're not gonna look explosive, but they're gonna be able to move the ball now, actually, and have a chance. I don't know if I can go there, just because the Raiders' offense with Minshew has looked pretty good. With especially with Bowers. I think Bowers is his guy now. He's been fucking outstanding to start the season. But it's a good pick, and I respect you for making it. I'm just not ready to go there yet.
You know what? To take risks, you got to take risks. But ultimately, though, like I said, it's a game that I can see them winning just because of that classic letdown spot by the Raiders, where they have. I think last year they whooped the Giants, and I think you guys beat them on Sunday Night Football a week later, if I'm not mistaken. Or did they beat you?
They beat us.
Oh, they beat you. Okay.
The race for 20, as Robert Saleh said.
So I'm gonna say this with this game. I think ultimately, though, the Raiders do win this game, but I think Carolina covers that 5.5.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with the cover. I don't know about the outright win though.
Yeah,
I mean, it could happen for sure.
I'll say it this way: Basically, the Randy Marsh gif of him with his testicles in a wheelbarrow, that's me betting Carolina Panthers money line, but me being a little bitch is them betting the spread, and I'll take the bitch bet over the ballsy bet.
Hey, a win is a win.
Exactly. Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore, man, what is going
This is
on?
this is a weird spot because these are two teams that truly need a get right game.
Yep.
Two,
So I didn't really see what happened to Baltimore and why they lost. I like that they were leading the whole game, right?
they took their foot off the gas.
And they just took their foot off the gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they really should have won week 1. I think that, I mean, if there's ever a team you trust to get back right from 0-2, it's the Ravens. I know I heard a stat today that Harbaugh has never led the Ravens to the playoffs after an 0-2 start.
Last time was 2015.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like they need a win, but the Cowboys need a win too, just as bad. Like what the hell? After week 1, I was like, this Cowboys defense looks freaking legit, and then Derek Carr comes in and just destroys them. So, I mean, Dak really hasn't had a great game yet, or he hasn't, in general had a great game yet. So I look for him to, ball this week. Could be a shootout for sure.
48. I'd comfortably take 48 and a half.
Yeah, I love that over.
Ultimately though, I'm gonna go Baltimore just because I trust coaching more.
That's fair. That is fair. The thing is,
It's so tough though.
yeah, it is tough. It's in Dallas, right?
Yeah, it's at Jerry's World at AT&T.
I'm gonna go Dallas. I'm gonna take Dallas. I think, like I said, I think Dak finally has that really good game. Even CD hasn't been great yet, but if they could stop the run and they pressure Lamar to make throws, I think they should have it.
And then we move on to LA and San Francisco. Both teams are banged up. Debo's out. McCaffrey's out. Cooper Kupp's out. Puka Nakua's out. Linemen are out for Jonah Jackson's out for the Rams.
Kyron Williams versus Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm still going to go San Francisco just because here's the thing. Yeah. Like Shanahan has McVay's number. But here's the thing though, too. I think Father Time, I think I DM'd you this. I'm not sure. I think Father Time's catching up to Matthew Stafford. I think it's really starting to show.
Really?
Like, if you just look at how he's played, like, I'm sorry. Like, we'll talk about them in a second, but the fact you got dog walked by the Arizona Cardinals, a team that you have beaten in Phoenix every year since 2014, was a crazy stat.
Did we talk about who are they playing this week? Did we talk about them?
They're next. They're playing Detroit, which I think is going to be one of the games of the weekend.
Okay.
But with this game right here, I'm gonna. Here's the thing too: the defenses. What happened to the Rams week 1 in that overtime? I'm sorry. You can have Jordan Mason. Just give him the ball. Just hand it off to Mason. I know there's no Samuel. I know there's no CMC. Give it to Mason because we saw David Montgomery just shove it down their throats in that overtime.
Yeah.
That defense is missing Aaron Donald.
Yeah, no. I just don't think they have enough offensive firepower to win this game. And Shanahan, you could trust even if he's down Debo and who else and CMC. Like they always have somebody next man up. And if anything, Ayuk finally breaks out this week. He hasn't done shit to start the year. So they still have Kittle. They still have Ayuk. Jordan Mason's filled in the role fine. So give me them all day long. And I don't see Stafford moving the ball on this defense whatsoever.
I think with that, I was struggling this. I was going to ask you this at the end of the show, but I still think my survival pick might be the 49ers this week.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Them or Tampa.
And shout out Fred Warner, man. That guy's a fucking stud.
All pro caliber linebacker, probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day. He's a flyer. He literally just flies over the field and hits
the way he just handled the Jets was just so impressive, man. Week 1.
I get to see it next Sunday.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing a depleted Niners, and our defense is good too, so we'll see what happens there, but I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Game of the week coming up. Detroit travels to Arizona. Marvin Harrison is who we thought he was. I'm sorry, but everyone who was freaking out week 1.
I was.
Like, I saw some of the plays. Like, I know, like I was saying that they got walked, but like, and I know everyone's posting the photos too, where it's like Marvin Harrison and then like small Kyler Murray. This is truly the best weapon Kyler Murray's ever had. Like D-Hop, I know was good,
Free.
but D-Hop was there. Just the ability for him to get open, to get around DBs. Maserati Marv has truly arrived in the NFL, and Danny and I are both on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep, that's another team I'm buying big time. And also shout out Kyler Murray, man. You know, everyone pretty much threw him off, written him off. I'm pretty sure I said this in the preseason, whatever. I said it at some point on here, but I was like, don't write off Kyler Murray, man. Like he was coming back from the injury, he's back, and he was a stud before that. So he's. I mean, I really hate they lost that Week 1 game to Buffalo, but shout out to I'm buying for the Cardinals, man.
I had two bets in that game I cashed that I was happy with. I had them on the spread at plus 6.5 against Buffalo, and I had the over.
Nice. Okay. As far as the Lions, who'd they just lose to? Damn, I should know
Tampa.
this. Yeah, Tampa. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it because they really should have lost to the Rams too. I believe I don't know if they're as good as they were last year.
I think with them, it's more of everyone just expects you to be this great team and just go out there week in and week out now. But they're like, and we'll get into this with the Monday night games, and I'm not saying they're as bad as Jacksonville, but I think there's some moments where we're going to see them where it's like, oh, hey, this is why we have our doubts and our skeptics about Detroit. I'm going to say this with this game, though. I'm going to go with Detroit on a bounce back effort because they did play great last week, but also, too, and for as much as I like Arizona, I just think that they lose a close one. You know, it's a field goal game. The spread's 3 points. The over's 52.5, which I like, but I'd rather not bet it because I feel like whenever it's at 52, it's always a sweat. And because 2 years ago with Detroit, I had their over at 51.5 against the Bears, and they scored 51 points. It was 51.5, and they scored 51. But I'm going to go with Detroit on a bounce back here. Like I said, I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be one of those games like, the end of like Karate Kid where it's like, hey, kid, you got some, or not Karate Kid. What are the movies where it's like, hey, you got something, where it's like, This is a game where Arizona can earn the respect of people, like earn the true respect of people where it's like, hey, you just went toe to toe with what's supposed to be a juggernaut in the NFC.
I'm going to take the Lions too, but if the Lions don't win this game, I am officially raising the red flag on the Lions. I'll say it like that.
Agree. 1,000% agree. I think so here's how it goes. If Arizona loses, it's viewed as like I said, hey kid, you got something. The Cardinals are going to be a team that like they get their roses. Arizona wins, people like us can toot our horns and say, hey, we were right about them. We were amazed by them. And then Detroit, it's going to be, yo, you got to get your shit together ASAP.
Yeah, man. Where's Laporta been too?
He's been quiet. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown too. David Montgomery's been the true like heartbeat of that offense so far throughout the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But we have a full slate. I think that's all for the Sunday slate. I have to wait for the rest of it to come by. So we already did LV Carolina. We did Dallas. We did the Rams. I apologize, folks, but Danny and I are going to get there. Don't you worry. Arizona versus Detroit, 52.5. And now we move to Sunday Night Football. I knew it. I just wanted to wait to confirm. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think this is a game Kansas City wins. Look, what happened last night won't happen again. I know Kansas City, Atlanta, KC.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
And look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was right about Travis Kelce. I told you, I said, do not draft him in fantasy football. Father Time's going to start to show, but then he's going to cook in the playoffs and get like 100 yards a game receiving. But for regular season, it's just do your thing. Like I know, like I don't know why, but I get so many Taylor Swift people on Twitter, excluding obviously our Taylor Swift reporter at AZ Sophie. But with them, they're all like, "Oh, look at Travis," and I want to be like, "Yeah, her man had one reception for 5 yards today."
Yeah, she's like, having a blast watching him catch all these balls.
Yeah, and the one catch he had, he gets called back. Look. Last Sunday was a game that, should they have won? I don't know. That pass interference flag, the more I look at it, it was pass interference. But I'll say this too. What we saw from Xavier Worthy week 1, I don't think is going to be sustainable because when you get a short receiver like that, eventually they're going to box him out and they're just going to bully him. to where he can't catch
Oh,
the
I
ball.
totally called that.
Yeah.
Everyone was so high on him after that week 1. I'm like, it was gadget plays. Like, that shit doesn't happen every week.
Yeah. You
Let's see him
play.
run some routes and do something like that, you know?
He'll have his flashes though, where it's like, holy crap, look at Xavier Worthy, and then it's like, oh, where was Xavier
But
Worthy?
shout out, I mean, I know he's in the controversy, but shout out Rashi Rice, man. That guy's really turned into a stud receiver.
He basically came in and learned the playbook immediately. If he wasn't as good of a receiver as he is, he'd be off the team. It's like the same thing with Bucker. Bucker probably would have been
Now,
cut if he was
what I
if
want
he
to
had Tyler
see,
Bass's leg.
what I want to see now is with Pacheco and IR. I know they just picked up Hunt. Where are they going to go from there? Because the white running back didn't look too impressive. So, and you know, I don't think they have much. They have some RJ P Ryan, but you know, let's see where they go for the running game.
Mahomes causes some magic. Collinsworth has a 6-inch Subway sub packed in his pocket, and the Kansas City
2 inch.
Chiefs pull out a win. It's Krispy Kreme Donut Factory at Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Collinsworth in town calling the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I think give the ball to Bijan, man. Let's see if you can get something happening there.
He had a pretty good game last night.
Yeah, he was looking real good, man. And Tyler Algier looked good too. But man, Bijan's your guy, bro. Just fucking keep giving him the ball.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm so out on that guy, man. I am so out on Kyle Pitts.
But
It's like he's had so much time now to like prove he's not. He's a bust.
nah,
He is a bust.
It's not just Arthur Smith. No, it's just he had too much hype coming. He had too much hype. But Bijan is who we thought he was going to be. I was wrong. I said last year I was kind of skeptical on him because of Arthur Smith, and I was proven right. But right now we're seeing with the right coaching, hey, yeah, Bijan Robinson's a baller. The other thing I will toot my horn on though is, and last night I told people to draft Drake London. I said to draft Drake London. He won me my week this week in one of my leagues.
I'm not high on him either, but I know the touchdown probably got you, the win for sure. But he wasn't doing much before that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, Kirk Cousins does not look healthy. He cannot throw outside of the numbers. I know that final drive, probably adrenaline clicked in, and he looked, like the old Kirk Cousins. But before that, he was not looking. He hasn't looked good.
No, but that's the thing with Kirk. It's just he hasn't looked good, and that's why, like, look, Philadelphia does have a good pass rush. You have a future Hall of Fame defensive tackle coming at you Sunday night. How are you going to do against Chris Jones? Like, their offensive line has its moments, but, like, the left side, I'll say this with Atlanta's offensive line. Matthew Bergeron from Quebec, Canada, is a really good left guard for them. But then they have Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry, Jake Matthews. Those guys, we'll see how he does against them. But if he's matched up with Bergeron, it could be interesting to see how that goes because Bergeron held his own last night against that formidable Eagles front. Excuse me. But with this game though, I think we see that textbook Mahomes game where it's just, oh hey,
Probably.
Mahomes is
He hasn't had a crazy good game either.
Like he did his job against Baltimore, and then look, put the DPI aside. They got the win on Sunday, and I just think he has a game where, not that we're reminded, but he has the game where we kind of go, oh, yeah, that's why Mahomes is Mahomes. But I still look at Kansas City, and I'm just like, I just can't see them three-peating at the moment. I know you're not supposed to doubt them, but there's just a lot of signs to them where I'm like, how sustainable is it not having a proper offseason?
They're beatable.
Not they're beatable, they're formidable.
Yep.
They're formidable. They're not an opponent you look at and you just like go, oh crap, they're in town. We're going to take our lumps. Like we said, we think Kansas City wins this game. But I think this is a game where we kind of see that Mahomes magic. And then, hey, next week, 3-0 versus 3-0, potentially Chargers Chiefs.
Yeah.
With him going from a Chris Collinsworth Glaze Fest to a Tony Romo Glaze Fest.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm just going to double check that just to make certain. 425. Also 425 next week. Raiders Browns, which ill. And then Monday night, Buffalo Jacksonville. Buffalo, simple as that. Buffalo. I don't need to say anything else.
Yeah.
Dude, they're gonna clean house. I don't know what's worse right now, their wrestling promotion or the football team.
I like Brian Thomas Jr. though. He's looked awesome. I'll give him his flowers.
He has, but man, Trevor Lawrence has not.
Yeah. Tell me how he's generational, man. Please.
Man, I think Doug Peterson's a hot seat coach right now.
Oh, he definitely is a hot seat coach. Yeah, man, that's just not looking good for Jacksonville this year.
Exactly.
That's all I could say. Yeah, that's really it. Buffalo's gonna get another one, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then Sunday Night Football next week, Buffalo and Baltimore, which should be a very interesting game as well because those two teams get together. It's always fun to watch.
Yep.
And then we finish off Cincinnati versus Washington. I'm going to say this right now. This is a must-win game for the Bengals.
This is gonna be a blowout. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. Jamar Chase finally wakes up. Who knows if T. Higgins plays? I know their fans think he's faking it or whatever, but
that Yosivach kid has looked really good for them though.
Oh yeah, he caught the touchdown. I saw that.
Yeah.
I think losing Mixon hurt them though.
Yeah, it did.
They haven't looked great on the ground.
That was a cap casualty. They gave him way too much money, but ultimately with the Bengals though, since we both agree, like, look, I think this is another game too. Monday night, if you want to go Buffalo or Cincinnati for survival, either or work. I'm probably gonna stick with San Fran, but with
take the Jets.
Again, if you want to. I mean, my dad does in the survival league I'm in with him. He does the Thursday night strategy. He took Buffalo last week, so we'll see what he does this week. If you take New England, if you pick the Jets, Dad, you might have to find a new son. Just kidding. But no, with Cincinnati,
you'd be a winner though.
Probably. If you take, but here's the thing with the Bengals though. I have them winning the Super Bowl. I said that. I was very public about it.
Oh wow.
I just think that, like, look, it's the year for them where it seems like it's an all or nothing year considering, look, Joe Burrow's paid, T. Higgins is good as gone. And then Jamar Chase, who knows what's going to happen if they're going to pay him or not. I do think at the end of the day they will. I think they're going to have to realize that, hey, Jamar is who he is for a reason. We're going to have to open up the thing for him because for as good as Yosivach has looked, you just can't have that as a number one. Jamar Chase is a number one that doesn't grow on a tree. If you lose that, you're going to regret it. You just can't go and say, we're going to draft another Jamar Chase. No, that's not how this works. So Mike Brown, stop being frugal and open up the checkbook.
Well, the thing is that I read, they don't have the cash. And when you sign a big contract like that, and all the guaranteed money goes into escrow, so you have to pay that cash up front. And I read they don't have that cash to do that. So that's the only reason why they haven't done it.
Yeah, that's literally it. And also, Mike Brown would rather have him making $4 million this year, and then you worry about it in the offseason. But this is going to be a story that, like, all offseason, it follows them around.
Chase is great, but I think he's overrated. I don't think he's on that 1A tier like Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. I don't think he is.
No, but I think if he goes to a team that needs a wide receiver one, he can. I'm not saying be a top tier wide receiver, but he can definitely be a one in a comfortable situation.
He's a one for sure, but he's just not in that one tier, like elite of the elite.
There's like the him tier, and then there's the tier. Would you put him with like Amon-Ra St. Brown? Like,
I think he's better. He's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but yeah, I would put Amon-Ra probably just like slightly below him.
Yeah, like I think like he's in a like I'm trying to think of guys he'd be in a tier with where it's like I'd probably put him like AJ Brown.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that tier there. I'm trying to think of other guys who we could be put in that tier with. I put Reek as well with the other ones. Like
Reek's 1A,
with like Reek's with like Jefferson and Lamb and stuff.
Yeah.
But who else could be in those tiers? Like I think because eventually too soon, I feel like Garrett Wilson's going to be in like that. I don't know about 1A, but he's a definite one tier.
We got to see more from Garrett.
Yeah.
Nico Collins. Out. Let's go, man. Nico's absolutely blowing this year already.
Yeah,
he'll be up there.
I know. I always think about your guys and your cap situation going forward because of how next year. Look, Sauce is going to want to get paid. Garrett Wilson's going to want to get paid. Breece Hall's going to want to get paid.
So I'll say this now. I think Sauce was fucking around too much this offseason. He played his worst game as a pro on Sunday. He just wasn't Sauce. And, I mean, I'm going to trust him and his body of work to get out of it. But if this shit continues, for him to come out and ask for $30 million a year, which he's probably going to ask for or whatever. I don't know, Pat. What did Pat just get? 24 a year?
26, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. For a guy who doesn't want to tackle, who doesn't pick the ball off, you need to step it up, man. You were too focused on Twitch and Twitter and whatever else you were interested in the offseason. You need to, step it up, man, and be that top tier guy.
So with no, wait, what was I gonna say? No, it is 24 that PS2 got because he's 90, it's 4 years, 96.
So
And
I'll look for 25 then. Yeah.
yeah, he'll look for that. And then but then going to my
Which he
point
probably
though,
gets unless Douglas deals him, which I would not rule out if he continues to have this kind of year.
where he's just the off-field attitude just becomes too much.
It's just the play hasn't been great so far. I mean, it's 2 weeks in. It's early. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to trust his body of work. But the guy just, over his 3-year career, he doesn't like to tackle. So he's not a physical corner, and he just doesn't pick the ball off. He's just a shutdown corner. Which is great. That you would love to have that. But if you go back, to teams who've won the Super Bowl, who's really paid for, like, except for the Rams with Ramsey, who's really paid top dollar at cornerback? That's
Not
just
a
a
soul.
position that people haven't paid and won a Super Bowl.
Oh, I know a team next year that's gonna have to do that. KC.
Well, KC just let Snead go, and they had no issues doing that.
You think they're gonna let Trent McDuffie walk?
I mean, it's anything's possible.
Yeah, the Chiefs are in a peculiar situation financially because eventually I know Mahomes is going to want more money. That's just a given. Chris Jones got paid. George Karlaftis is going to have to get paid. Leo Chanel, Nick Bolton. They either got to just keep finding gems in the draft or they got to repay. But my whole thing about the whole contract situation is, man, Houston coming up too. They're almost in an now or never because Nico Collins is eligible for a new deal next year. You're going to have to pay CJ Stroud. You're getting the Brinks truck for him. And then Tank Dell eventually,
Sure.
Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah, I mean, the four positions you don't fuck around with are quarterback, left tackle, defensive end, and wide receiver. Those are the four guys you give your premium dollars to.
Yep.
The rest, it's that's where you really have to make the decision. Do we pay the defensive tackle? Do we pay the cornerback? Like, if it really depends.
Luxuries. That's why I was saying with the Giants earlier, like the whole thing about Brian Burns, where like, look, hey, is Brian Burns this great first round caliber defensive end? Absolutely. He was a first round pick out of Florida State. But now we look at it as it was more so a you didn't need it, but you bought it anyway. It's like when you go grocery shopping, you can buy broccoli or you can buy candy. You need to buy the broccoli because it's healthy, but you bought the candy. And you know what? You'll enjoy it in the moment, and you did that. Before we sign off, I actually had a metaphor I forgot to mention earlier about Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're a big like amusement park guy for rides and stuff like that.
No.
Okay, so you know how like not amusement parks, but like you know how when you go to like those like carnivals or like the state fair where it's like a bunch of rickety ass rides just set up in the middle of a
The
parking lot?
Gravitron UFO.
Yeah, you know those rides where it's like the Anthony Richardson experience. I feel like it's hey, that looks fun, but I'm going to enjoy it from over here. I'm not going to go and like I'll let you enjoy it, but I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
like
good analogy.
yeah, I think I'm just going to call this podcast Anthony Richardson Experience.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or
you
you
know,
could,
because
or,
like
you, or you could title it. What you should title it is "Pick the Jets in your Survivor Pool."
oh my fuck, stop it. Oh,
Listen,
Danny, we
man.
love talking to you.
Times have changed, man. Belichick's gone.
What did Greg say in
Sorry,
the
man.
AFC show?
You're gonna have to endure the sweep this year, brother.
What did Greg say in the AFC show?
Listen, and I think about that, and I thought about that with the Bengals, but you just lost your. Would you say your best defender or your second best defender?
I mean, we already lost our best defender, so we've probably lost our second. We lost basically
Because I don't know if
the heartbeat.
Gonzo might be your best defender. Maybe that might have to play out over the season. But
I was
as
saying
far as
Barmore.
today, well, yeah, Barmore too. But we already knew that. But as far as Bentley, was he? You would say he's your second best defender?
Probably. I would say he is more of like, that like heartbeat glue guy that kind of like gels everything together.
Okay.
Yeah, like losing him because he worked his ass off.
Or you might say Duggar too, because you're a big Duggar mark.
I have been since he was drafted. Just like, out of Lenore Ryan, he got his bag this offseason to where with New England, I'm just going to say this quickly because my buddy McGarvin, comes on here all the time. He basically tweeted out right before game one, and this is how I view this season. I'm going to root for wins. We're going to take losses as they come, and I'm not going to worry about the draft until that time comes. Until January 6th, 2025. No, I'm not referring to other things that happen on January 6th, but that's the day when the regular season's over. And
Unbelievable.
when there's a number next to I had to get it in there. When there's a number next to our name, when we know where we're picking, that's when I'll worry about the draft and prospects. Like, obviously, look, I know I said a thing earlier about Mason Graham, but I'd love Will Campbell in a Patriots uniform. The more I watch the LSU documentary on Prime, the more I'm like, yeah, give me Will Campbell. But you know
So
what?
the
For
thing
now,
for me with New England is, listen, just for the Jets, just beat them. I don't care if they win as long as Jacoby's the quarterback, and pray that Drake May is not the next big thing. That's my thing for New England, because
May
I am not trying to. And listen, the quarterbacks so far in this rookie class have not looked good, and I don't think every quarterback in this class is gonna suck. So we have Drake May left, we have JJ McCarthy left, and we have Michael Penix left. And one of them is probably gonna be good, odds on. Hopefully, I'm praying for my sake it's not May.
so most New England fans are on board with this with Drake May, where it's just let him play. Like, just he will get in action when he gets in. He's going to play when he's ready. But like I was saying earlier, and also my whole thing too with like root for wins, take losses when they come is just that's what you do with football. You want your team to win every single week, but it's not going to happen. For me though, as I just want to see those signs that to going into next offseason, going into 2025, we can say, hey, there's slowly things that are coming along. Like, I still look at the 2021 season with Max rookie year as an anomaly just because they won a lot of games they shouldn't have won. They played a really easy schedule, and I think that team that got their ass kicked in the playoffs was the true team that was just hidden all season long that year.
Same thing as the Giants, the year they made their playoffs.
The only difference is one just got their ass kicked, and now one franchise lives, and one franchise
Yeah, of
literally
course.
calls that their greatest achieving accomplishment.
But
Meanwhile,
to your guys' credit, you haven't looked like the clown show that everyone thought, and just like the punching bag. So credit to you guys for that. It's gonna be a fun game Thursday. I like I told you, I have a feeling Drake May gets in that game. I really do,
I
but we'll
think he'll
see.
take I don't think they would pull Jacoby just because he's playing terribly, unless it's like an ungodly performance or he just does like what Will Levis does. I think it would have to take, Jacoby getting hurt for him to come into the game, which it could happen considering how bad the offensive line looked on Sunday. But ultimately, we'll wait and see what happens on Thursday night.
Should be interesting, man.
Danny, Kirk Herbstreit will all be in the building, folks. I know the podcast is a little bit sooner, so if stuff changes between now and then, it's not our fault. Playing the football gods are putting us on a Thursday night, but you know what? The game gets over and done with. But anyway, guys, David Morisuti will be here with me. Actually, we're going to be recording right before the Patriots game Thursday night, changing it over to Canada's side. And then next week, like I said earlier, Big Rat's back for another episode of Danny Dimes in prime time. Enjoy week 3 of the NFL season, everybody. This
Might be the last one ever.
No, there's still a couple more. They play the Steelers in October. And then if
Are
I'm
they
really
Sunday? Are they Sunday nighters?
Monday.
Oh, okay. So I can't get flexed out then, right?
Yeah, and if I'm really feeling like a sicko, I'll record during that Panthers-Giants game.
Oh, nothing better to do. If you're watching that is.
Oh, I'll watch it because I'm a sicko and I love football. And I think that's where we end it. Goodbye, folks.
Alrighty.